My beloved child. Listen very carefully, because what I am about to say is not dramatic, not exaggerated, and not meant to scare you. It is meant to wake you up. Somewhere in the recent past, you made a serious mistake, and the most dangerous part is not the mistake itself. The danger is that you are still treating it like it is small, temporary, or something that will fix itself with time. It will not. This is the moment where most people lose years of their life without realizing it. They think they are moving forward, but in reality, they are slowly walking in a circle, bleeding energy, confidence, and clarity every single day. You may feel tired without knowing why. You may feel distracted even when nothing is happening. You may feel a strange pressure in your chest, like something unfinished is silently watching you. That feeling is not random. It is the consequence of avoiding a problem that demands immediate attention. Ignore it, and it grows stronger. Face it, and everything changes. This video exists because your future self is screaming for you to stop pretending that everything is fine. Now understand this clearly. The mistake you made was not a single action. It was a decision pattern. A silent agreement you made with yourself to delay, to compromise, or to choose comfort over truth. You told yourself, just this once, just a little more time, just one more excuse. That is how the trap works. The world does not destroy people in one loud moment. It drains them quietly. Slowly. Politely. You kept saying yes to things that weakened you and no to things that would have strengthened you. And now, the consequences are lining up, even if they have not fully arrived yet. Most people only react when damage becomes visible. When money is lost. When relationships collapse. When health starts breaking. You are still early. That is the shocking part. You still have time to fix this. But only if you act immediately. Not tomorrow. Not after one more sign. This is the sign. Pay close attention to this next truth. The problem you are avoiding is connected to your identity. That is why it feels heavy. That is why you keep distracting yourself instead of facing it directly. If it were simple, you would have solved it already. This problem asks you to admit something uncomfortable. Either you stayed too long where you should have left. Or you trusted someone who showed you signs you ignored. Or you betrayed your own potential by choosing safety over growth. The mistake hurts because deep down, you knew better. And the mind hates unfinished honesty. Every day you delay, your confidence leaks away in small amounts. You may still function. You may still smile. But internally, something feels off. That is the cost. And the longer you wait, the higher the price becomes. The solution is not complicated, but it is demanding. It requires clarity, courage, and a decision that cannot be undone. Here is the part most people never hear. Solving this problem will feel uncomfortable at first, but the relief afterward will be immediate and powerful. The moment you choose truth over avoidance, your mind becomes lighter. Your energy returns. Your focus sharpens. Opportunities that felt blocked suddenly start moving. This is not coincidence. When you correct a serious internal mistake, the external world responds. But you must be willing to cut off what no longer serves you. A habit. A belief. A connection. A routine. Something in your life has overstayed its welcome, and it is quietly poisoning your progress. You already know what it is. I am not here to name it for you. I am here to tell you that avoiding it is no longer an option. You are not stuck. You are paused by choice. And choices can be changed instantly. Remember this and do not forget it. Moments like this do not come often. Awareness is rare. Most people sleepwalk through their mistakes until consequences force them awake. You are awake now. That means you still have power. But awareness without action turns into regret. If you close this video and do nothing, the weight you feel will double. If you act, even one decisive step, the pressure begins to release. This is not about perfection. It is about correction. Fix the root, and everything else realigns. In the next part, you will understand exactly why this mistake appeared in your life and what specific shift will neutralize its damage completely. Stay with this. Your future depends on what you do next. A moment like this arrives quietly, not with noise but with weight. You may not have noticed it at first, but something inside you has already shifted since the last words you heard. That is because truth does not need permission to enter. It finds cracks and slips in. The reason this mistake became part of your life is not because you are weak, careless, or unlucky. It appeared because you reached a threshold where growth was required, and instead of crossing it, you hesitated. Life does not punish hesitation immediately. It waits. It observes. It allows you to repeat the same choice until repetition turns into identity. That is how people wake up one day feeling disconnected from their own power. You did not fail once. You paused too long. And that pause slowly turned into a pattern that now demands correction. Let me reveal something most people never realize. This problem is not here to destroy you. It is here to expose you. Expose what you tolerate. Expose what you avoid. Expose how seriously you take your own future. The mistake keeps repeating itself in different forms because the lesson has not been learned yet. Different faces. Different situations. Same core issue. Until you address it directly, it will keep changing costumes and re-entering your life. That is why it feels familiar. That is why you sometimes think, why does this keep happening to me? It is not happening to you. It is happening for you. But only if you respond correctly. The moment you stop reacting emotionally and start responding consciously, the cycle breaks. This is where focus becomes everything. Right now, your attention is scattered between what you know you should do and what feels easier in the moment. That inner conflict drains more energy than hard work ever could. The serious mistake was allowing that conflict to live unresolved. You tried to silence it with distractions, routines, and temporary comfort. But unresolved truth always returns stronger. The solution begins with one ruthless decision. You must choose alignment over approval. Truth over familiarity. Growth over comfort. This decision may cost you something. Time. Distance. Effort. But it will give you something far more valuable: self-respect. And once self-respect returns, momentum follows naturally. You stop forcing progress. Progress starts pulling you forward. Here is the turning point most people miss. You do not fix this problem by doing more. You fix it by removing what is misaligned. One wrong pillar can destabilize an entire structure. One wrong commitment can drain an entire life. Look carefully at where your energy goes and ask yourself one honest question. Does this move me closer to who I want to become, or does it keep me where I am because it feels safe? The answer will be clear. The fear you feel is not a warning. It is resistance leaving your system. On the other side of that fear is clarity so sharp it feels unreal. When you experience it, you will wonder why you waited so long. Take this final thought with you into the next moment. The universe does not respond to words. It responds to decisions. Once you decide to correct this mistake fully, without excuses or half measures, events begin rearranging themselves. People change. Opportunities surface. Timing improves. Not because of luck, but because you stopped leaking energy into a problem that was never meant to be permanent. You are standing at the edge of a reset point. Step back, and the cycle continues. Step forward, and the version of you that has been waiting finally takes control. In the next part, you will uncover the exact internal shift that transforms pressure into power and confusion into direction. Stay present. This is where everything starts to turn. There is a silent moment before every major transformation. It is the moment when excuses lose their strength and honesty starts speaking louder than fear. You may feel it as a strange calm mixed with tension, like standing still before a storm that you know will clear the air. This moment is not accidental. It appears when your inner world is ready to reorganize itself. The serious mistake you made has now brought you to this exact point. Not to punish you, but to test whether you will finally listen. Most people rush past this moment. They distract themselves. They rationalize. They say they will think about it later. But later never comes with clarity. Only now does. And now is where real power exists. Understand this deeply and without resistance. The problem is no longer external. It is no longer about people, timing, or circumstances. It has condensed into a single internal question. Will you continue living in reaction, or will you step into deliberate control? Reaction feels easier because it does not require responsibility. Control feels heavier because it demands ownership. Your mistake grew stronger because you kept reacting to life instead of directing it. Every time something challenged you, you adjusted yourself downward instead of raising your standards upward. Slowly, your boundaries weakened. Slowly, your vision blurred. That is how capable people end up feeling lost. Not because they lack ability, but because they stop choosing themselves with conviction. Here is the truth that changes everything. You do not need motivation. You need alignment. Motivation is emotional and temporary. Alignment is structural and permanent. When your actions, values, and direction match, effort feels lighter even when the work is hard. The mistake disrupted your alignment. You started doing things that looked right but felt wrong. You started agreeing when you should have walked away. You started delaying decisions that demanded courage. And every delay created friction inside you. That friction is what you feel as anxiety, confusion, or restlessness. The moment you realign, those feelings do not disappear magically, but they stop controlling you. You regain authority over your own mind. Pause here and let this land. Fixing this mistake does not require a dramatic external move. It requires an internal line to be drawn. A line that says, from this point forward, I no longer negotiate with what weakens me. This line is invisible, but its impact is immediate. When you draw it, your tone changes. Your posture changes. Your decisions become cleaner. People sense it without you saying a word. Situations that once drained you begin to fall away naturally. This is not aggression. This is clarity. And clarity is one of the rarest and most respected forms of power. Hold on to this final realization. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not late. You were paused at a lesson that required depth, not speed. Once this lesson is integrated, your progress will accelerate in ways that feel almost unreal. But acceleration only comes after correction. Do not rush the understanding. Let it settle fully. In the next part, you will see how this inner shift translates into real-world changes that others will notice before you do. Stay steady. You are closer than you think. Something begins to change the moment you stop explaining yourself internally. You may not announce it. You may not even consciously celebrate it. But the inner noise starts lowering, like a room finally going quiet after a long disturbance. This is how correction feels in its earliest stage. Not dramatic. Not loud. Just stable. The serious mistake that once felt overwhelming now starts shrinking, not because it vanished, but because you stopped feeding it with doubt. When you no longer argue with your own intuition, clarity strengthens naturally. This is the stage where many people panic and try to return to the familiar confusion, because calm feels unfamiliar. Do not do that. Calm is not emptiness. Calm is alignment settling into place. Here is what most people do not expect. When you internally correct a major mistake, the outer world reacts before you do. Conversations shift tone. Delays dissolve. Resistance from others either fades or reveals itself clearly. This is not coincidence. It is cause and effect. You stopped leaking energy into indecision, so that energy now redirects itself into momentum. You may notice that situations which once demanded effort now resolve with fewer words. People who benefited from your confusion may pull away. Let them. Their exit is confirmation, not loss. You are not becoming cold. You are becoming precise. And precision is what separates growth from exhaustion. Pay attention to your reactions right now. You are no longer as triggered as before. Things that once bothered you now feel distant, almost irrelevant. This does not mean you stopped caring. It means you stopped over-investing where returns were never promised. The mistake you made taught you discernment, and discernment sharpens judgment without hardening the heart. This is a rare balance. Many people swing from tolerance to bitterness. You are learning to stand in the middle. Firm but open. Aware but not reactive. That is real strength. This is where confidence stops being loud and starts being consistent. There is a subtle danger at this stage. Because improvement feels smoother, you might underestimate its importance. You might think the problem is already solved and relax too soon. Do not confuse relief with completion. Correction is active until it becomes habit. The difference between temporary clarity and permanent change is repetition with awareness. Continue choosing what aligns, even when no one is watching, even when it would be easier to slip back. This is how identity reshapes itself. Quietly. Gradually. Permanently. You are not proving anything to the world. You are proving something to yourself. Take this with you as you move forward. The mistake did not weaken you. It refined you. It stripped illusions and forced you to confront truth without decoration. Very few people reach this point consciously. That is why so few live with direction instead of drift. You are no longer guessing your next move. You are sensing it. In the next part, you will understand how to protect this new clarity from external interference and internal doubt, so it does not fade with time. Stay steady. What you are building now is meant to last. There is a moment when clarity attracts pressure. Not because you are wrong, but because you are becoming unmistakable. As your inner alignment strengthens, external forces test it. Old patterns try to return. Familiar distractions whisper for attention. People who were comfortable with your hesitation may suddenly question your change. This is not resistance to you. It is resistance to losing access to the version of you that was easier to predict. Do not misinterpret this phase. Nothing has gone wrong. This is how clarity proves itself. By standing firm when it is challenged quietly, not dramatically. Understand this protection principle clearly. Your clarity survives only if your boundaries become non-negotiable. Not loud. Not aggressive. Simply consistent. You do not need to explain your decisions. Explanation invites debate, and debate invites doubt. The serious mistake you once made grew because you over-explained your instincts until they felt optional. Now, your instincts must become final. This does not mean ignoring feedback. It means filtering it through your values instead of your fears. When something does not align, you step back without guilt. Guilt is a tool confusion uses to regain control. Release it completely. Notice how your internal dialogue is changing. You are no longer asking, "What if I am wrong?" as often as before. You are asking, "What happens if I ignore this truth again?" That shift is critical. It marks the transition from self-doubt to self-trust. Self-trust does not make you reckless. It makes you decisive. And decisiveness simplifies life. Many problems disappear not because they were solved, but because you stopped feeding them attention. This is the power you are reclaiming. Focus is returning to you, and with focus comes direction that does not require constant reassurance. There is one more layer you must stabilize. Consistency in solitude. Who you are when no one is watching determines whether this change lasts. External validation can strengthen clarity temporarily, but only internal integrity makes it permanent. Align your private choices with your public intentions. When those two match, confidence becomes unshakable. The mistake you made once fractured that integrity. Now you are repairing it piece by piece. This is not about discipline through force. It is about respect for your own word. When you keep promises to yourself, even small ones, your mind stops questioning your capability. Carry this realization forward with precision. You are no longer in correction mode. You are in construction mode. The foundation has been reset, and now structure follows naturally. Protect your clarity by honoring it daily. Not emotionally, but practically. In the next part, you will see how this internal stability begins shaping your future outcomes in ways that feel intentional rather than accidental. Stay grounded. What comes next is built on everything you have just secured. At this stage, something rare begins to happen. Your future stops feeling vague. It starts feeling structured, even if every detail is not visible yet. This is the difference between hope and direction. Hope waits. Direction moves. The serious mistake you once made scattered your energy, which is why your future felt foggy. Now that your energy is consolidated, your mind can project forward with precision. You may suddenly feel less interested in many things that once consumed you. That is not loss. That is focus selecting what truly matters. When focus sharpens, time stretches. You accomplish more with less effort, and that is how momentum quietly builds. This is where outcomes begin responding to you. Not dramatically. Not instantly. But consistently. You will notice that your decisions produce cleaner results. Fewer complications. Fewer misunderstandings. Less chaos. This is the reward of internal order. When your inner system stabilizes, the outer system mirrors it. Opportunities no longer feel random. They feel timed. You are not chasing them. You are meeting them. That is the shift most people never experience because they never fully correct the root mistake. They keep adjusting symptoms while the cause remains untouched. You did the opposite. And now the system is recalibrating in your favor. Be aware of one subtle test here. Confidence may invite overconfidence if you stop listening inwardly. Do not confuse certainty with rigidity. Your strength now comes from awareness, not stubbornness. Stay responsive, not reactive. When new information appears, evaluate it calmly instead of defending old positions. This flexibility keeps your clarity alive. The mistake you once made was holding on too long to what no longer fit. Do not repeat it in a different form. Growth requires release at every level. What got you here will not be what takes you further. Notice how your emotional weight is lighter. You still feel deeply, but you are no longer carried away by every feeling. Emotions inform you instead of controlling you. This is emotional maturity taking root. Decisions made from this state are rarely regretted. Even when outcomes are challenging, you recognize them as feedback, not failure. That mindset alone protects you from repeating past cycles. You are no longer afraid of making mistakes. You are aware of making unconscious ones. That awareness is your greatest safeguard. Hold this final understanding firmly. Your life is no longer reacting to pressure. It is responding to intention. The serious mistake that once threatened your progress has now become a reference point, not a wound. It reminds you what happens when clarity is delayed and truth is negotiated. In the next part, you will see how to lock this transformation into your identity so it becomes natural, effortless, and irreversible. Stay present. You are stepping into a version of yourself that does not go back. There comes a point when change stops feeling like effort and starts feeling like truth. You are entering that point now. The decisions that once required courage are beginning to feel natural, almost obvious. This is not because life became easier, but because you became clearer. The serious mistake that once controlled your direction no longer has authority over you. It has been observed, understood, and neutralized. When a lesson is fully learned, it stops repeating. That is why the noise around you is reducing. That is why your instincts feel sharper than your doubts. You are no longer guessing who you are becoming. You are recognizing it. This is how identity locks into place. Not through motivation, not through promises, but through consistent alignment between thought and action. You are doing fewer things, but everything you do carries more weight. This is the signature of a grounded person. Your presence alone starts influencing outcomes. People listen differently. Situations resolve faster. Not because you demand control, but because you embody it quietly. The mistake once fractured your sense of self. Now, coherence is returning. And coherence is power that does not need display. Be aware of this internal confirmation.